not many other questions. You guys answered again, most of them. But Chris, you went to the open practice.
Yep.
What was your biggest takeaway? Besides it being cool that it was there.
Well, most of the time you're sitting there. There's so many new numbers and new faces and things like that.
Who's it?
Half the practice, you're just scrolling through your phone to figure out who's that. So you want to watch Dwayne Lofton take a rep, but you're trying to figure out who's number 2. And when you finally figure out who number 2 is, you miss Dwayne Lofton's rep, who's next in line. So it's really hard to get an assessment because you're just so used to you just got to sit there and figure out who all the new players are. The things that stood out to me, like Chamari is playing safety spot. At first, I thought he was spending most of his time at boundary safety, but apparently what they're doing is just doing left-handed safety and right side safety right now, so everybody can get used to playing 2 different roles, and then the coaches can evaluate which guys are fits for what position. That Sam linebacker spot, the number 1 spot right now is Jordan McDonald. The number 2 spot right now is Jaden McDonald. And one of them wears number 38 and the other wears number 39.
Salem boys.
Yes, they're kind of hard to tell apart out there, but they look the part at that position. Breon Murray's in a nickel role this year, which I think is more suitable to his skill set. When Virginia Tech recruited him out of JUCO, he was more of a safety type. And he was actually named they're doing a player of the day, player of each practice, and he got that award for the first practice on Friday for his role in the nickel. So I think that's a good sign. No, the nickel is only going to be on the field for 150, 200 snaps a year because Virginia Tech's primary formation these days is going to be a 3 linebacker system.
Yeah,
but it's important they do have an effective nickel in that role. Jesse Hansen was at left guard. That was the only question mark on the starting offensive line is who was going to be.
Yeah, and that's where Jesse he lined up with the starting offensive line.
Right. So you got Janzi at left tackle. You've got Jesse Hansen at left guard. Johnny Jordan at center. Caden Moore at right guard, and Parker Clements at right tackle.
Right.
They mixed up the quarterback reps some.
There's a lot of quarterbacks out there.
Yeah.
6, I believe.
Yeah.
I will say for number 1 is like Tech's arm talent is much better this year. I mean, Jason Brown can throw the ball down the field. Grant Wells can really throw the ball.
He did not disappoint.
Yeah, that guy's got a lot of arm talent. And like you look what we had last year. When I saw Braxton in the preseason last year, I thought he threw it fine, but then he got hurt. But like Kadum is a FCS level player, and he was our number 2 quarterback last year.
And that's where he transferred out to, right?
This year our walk-on has a better arm than Knox Cade. Okay, so our overall arm talent in that room is just so much improved this year. Grant Wells in the team portion of the practice, which didn't last very long, but their 11-on-11 portion of the practice, Wells was the first quarterback out there.
Okay.
But I'm happy to see just more overall arm talent within the program.
And what's your take on Taj Bullock? He got a lot of reps.
Yeah,
he looked okay out to about 15 or 20 yards. There were 1 or 2 throws where you're like, wow.
He's just behind the more experienced players.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Jason Brown, who started at, I forget what FCS school he started at. Was it St. Francis or St. Peter's? I don't know. One of those Saints. And then, transferred to South Carolina, where he started 4 games for them last year. Yeah. So you're talking about a very experienced player at the college level. Not so much at the Power 5 level, but just overall, the guy's a 5th-year senior or 6th year. I guess 6th year since he's got the COVID year and everything. Grant Wells, even though he's technically only a redshirt sophomore, the guy's already started 2 years at Marshall. So to expect Taj Bullock to be in the same realm as those guys right now is unfair.
Yeah. And we were sitting with a guy who's watched Bullock closely and said that his throwing motion is much improved.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And Devin Farrell, what's your take on Devin Farrell?
He didn't get any reps within the team portions and things like that, because he's not going to start this year as a true freshman. So you want to get the guys reps. You want him to progress from a technical standpoint. It's like going out there and showing that he can play 11-on-11 football right now doesn't really matter, because you're not going to need him during the season. Yeah. He's going to redshirt, thank God. But I thought, boom, ding, ding, put it up. And I also didn't see him throw the ball down the field. Like I said, you're busy. You're trying to watch everything during practice, and so
you got people around you talking to you.
You exactly. Like honestly, like whenever I've gone to scrimmages way back in the day when Tech opened scrimmages and things like that, I would always get more out of them when I sat by myself. Because nobody talks to me, and I can just watch.
I remember going to watch scrimmages
depending on who you're watching it with.
Yeah. Well, we'd go watch scrimmages, and I'd sit there, run my mouth, and chat. And I was amazed at the stuff you observed with all those people around us running their mouths.
Right.
That sounds bad.
I know. It's because half those people are watching today, man.
These are my friends. I like them.
But the thing is, but at the same time, if you watch it with the right people, you'll pick up on more things. Yeah. We did watch it with the right people on Saturday who could make observations just like we could. Overall, though, I mean, they're not in pads. They weren't in pads. So you can't tell anything about, this running back's better than those running backs. They did get Jordan Brunson and Jalen Hampton back, and they were not on the team this past fall for certain reasons that some people have probably figured out by now. But Brunson is a big boy, and really big boy. And I heard they liked what they saw out of him last year, 2 years ago. I don't remember. I guess
it runs together.
2020 season when he was not playing, when he was redshirting, or in the season that doesn't count, right?
Yes.
So I don't even know what year he would be. I guess
redshirt freshman.
Redshirt freshman, probably.
I guess.
Really? Wow.
I don't know.
2 years in, he's redshirt freshman.
Yeah, that's right. I guess he would be a redshirt freshman.
Got my first look at Bryce Duke in person.
Bryce Duke looks like a football player. If you just look at his picture, he's got the neck and everything. And they always talk about him. Like, the coaches always talk about him. So I think he's going to play this year. Although, we'll see. When they get in pads, you're going to find out exactly how good some of those freshmen are.
Will's going to have binoculars on only Bryce Duke at the spring game.
I did not see anything to make me think he's not going to play this year.
What's the way Bryce Duke sits on the sideline?
We should have a Bryce Duke cam and
Zion.
Did you see the way he turned his head and talked to his teammate? That's a big time player.
Look at him. He just chatted with the offensive coordinator. He's locked in. Locked in. But really cool to get an open practice this early in the spring, though. And then spring game coming up April 16th.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see if Brent Pry has a voice then, because he tried to talk to the crowd for like 15 or 20 seconds on Saturday. He got about 2 sentences out, and his voice was cracking, and he just stopped.
He was clean-shaven, too.
Clean-shaven Brent Pry.
Yeah, it took us a while to find him out there on the field.
Yeah, because
we're ashamed to admit.
Looking for the beard.
Yep.
I was confused. I completely forgot that there was the open practice on Saturday, so I'm pulling up to the softball field trying to park.
What's that noise?
At like 11:45. I'm like, why is there no parking spots at noon on a Saturday?
Right.
Yeah.
Completely forgot.
Yeah. So and I'll say this. I'm sorry, Nick. What's up?
Just saying, it was just a wild weekend because I was at lacrosse too, and you could hear baseball music, you could hear lacrosse music, you hear softball music, and football music. It's like, what's happening?
Wow.
I will say this. I think Tech is going to be like a better arm talent in the quarterback room. I think the offensive line will be fine. We know the tight ends will be good. I was not impressed with the wide receivers on Saturday. They did not have a good day. That's a room that's really that's gonna need some work. That's gonna take a while. I thought Jalen Jones looked the part, but there were too many balls on the ground. Just not enough clean releases at the line of scrimmage and things like that. I think Tech's quarterbacks will be good enough. I just hope their targets are good enough.
And so the other important thing we need to cover is the music that was played over the speakers. It was different.
I would also. There was some. It was a mix. There were some Allman Brothers in there
of course, because that's who Coach Pry likes.
No, I want to point something out. So last week. I went to the welcome back thing at the Han Hurst facility for the basketball team
when they came back from the ACC tournament.
I briefly talked to some Virginia Tech official who works in the athletic department while I was out there, and this is a guy who knows all of these numbers. And he said whenever Virginia Tech wins a football game or a basketball game, they never get any emails about people complaining about music, concessions, anything. Whenever Virginia Tech loses a football game, it's always immediately after a loss where all those emails come in. I hate the music that you play on third down. You need to get better concessions. Your bathroom lines are too long. When Virginia Tech wins a game, they never get any complaints at all about any of that stuff.
The only thing I can't stand is when they're losing a game and they put the camera on the crowd and people are like, woo! And I'm like, you're
true.
losing by 3 touchdowns.
They do the
We're number one.
Stand up and shout. It's like, all right, well, it's 31-10. So.
Well, hopefully those moments are in the past.
Yes. Indeed.
Yes, we hope so. All right, well, that was a good conversation coming out of the YouTube chat. Thank you, Nick, for getting that for us.